Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Welcome everyone. I guess tonight is the 27th, and this is a Thursday night instead of a Tuesday night. But alhamdulillah, we're right on time. As the old song says, don't come when you want it, but be right on time. Well, that's a serious song. If it entered your life in a certain way, you know. But tonight we want to talk about a very serious subject. A lot of things have been developing, and everything has been very serious and evolutionary. And we want to talk about, we'll talk a little bit later about the detail of the outcomes that we want from what we're going to talk about tonight. But we'll be general enough to where it'll be easy to get an understanding. First of all, I want to make a statement that by my vision, we are in a game. We may not win, but we cannot lose. And I'll talk a little bit later about what that means. That this is a bigger game as Negroes, although there's 4 of us here tonight, it's a bigger game as any Negroes have ever been in. Of course, if you can look all this old stuff, Hezbollah support in America, identifying Hezbollah cells and participants, you know, this is the European, they got a lot of stuff. Ex-con Muslim leader says Ayatollah Khamenei is best a leader in the world. This is another article. And I just happened to pass by a few. Some of the things are very important though. Occupy Wall Street. This is about Oakland. Agent provocateurs posing today as Oakland Liberation Front. You know, Oakland's a good learner. I mean, they teach you. That's why I went back there, especially for when they had the movement about Oscar Grant, the guy that was shot in that subway. You know what they call it, Fruitvale Station. You know, the Wall Street movement, they had 17 different departments there, 17 county sheriffs department. I got pictures of it and everything. I got pictures of a lot of people that I knew. I guess nobody thought I was coming. So I came, I got pictures of the speakers like Angela Davis and all them people. In fact, she used to run on our trail up there. You know, I think she had a little girlfriends at that time. Actually, it was tenders, but they had turned from men and was going some kind of way. Anyway, by the picture that we have, we're in a game. We may not win, but we can't lose. And I'll tell you what that means later. Our vision guarantees success. Falah, you know. We talk about compete in righteousness. These are themes that we'll be talking about as we move along. And so I want to present a little bit about our vision first. So our thinking leads to steps to victory. Whether you call it PMA, positive mental attitude, whether you call it falah, success, ghalibun, ghalibun will be successful. Hizbullahi humul ghalibun, the Hizbullah, the party of God, will be successful. Since we believe ourselves, like what we're talking about, this worries the H-E-double-L out of the system. You know why? Because we believe it. And he believes that if you believe what you believe, it's too bad now. Ain't too much you can do. They believe from their own history, they've had all of their writers, and even Napoleon said there's two types of war, the sword and the mind. And he said the mind will always defeat the sword. So they're not stuck heavily on belief. Belief is in there, but they link it to thinking. If you think you can do it, that means you, as far as they're concerned, you believe you can do it. Okay, so our thinking is related to belief. So the war that we're in, and you'll see what we're talking about as we move along, the war that we're in, we think we can't lose. Of course we feel we're going to win. But you don't never go into, I can't lose. You say that. But there's always possibilities of you not so-called winning. The reason we can't lose is winning is relative. Winning is relative. Like everything we've encountered since all of y'all know, we have won. But winning is relative. That don't mean that we didn't lose things. You know, I'm gonna pay this thing right here. This is a doggone $3,050. Let's say $3,000 little control lien from up there on 8th Street. They just you know how diligent I am on. All they do is hold it back or hide it, and then say, well, you didn't do this, so I didn't do that. You got to give me a notice. So that's too bad. You know, we'll catch them for that later. But so that's one of the things we mean about that we can't lose, but we may not win. That don't mean in the ultimate. It's a tricky thing. I'll get back to it a little later. Okay. So it worries them to death. One of the reasons I stayed away from Oakland, mainly for many reasons. One is that, especially a setup, I could smell it as some setup. Number two, they wanted a rematch. You know, like when the police was out here, so I did make fun of the man and what have you, but he was parked out in front of the Masjid messing with us first. So after I brought the loudspeaker out, I just called him a bunch of names, a bunch of coons and clowns, and I was telling him, that's okay. He's a buff little old Negro. He puffed all up. He's been lifting plenty of iron. He probably got a few little skills, you know. So after we finished, I just went over to him and said, well, you don't know how to feel that, shake his hand. So he wouldn't shake my hand. He said, you called me all them names. He said, not only that, you a punk. I said, well, you a bitch. And it caught him a little bit by surprise because they probably told him they would say something like that. But he was surprised, and I was saying it not like now, I was saying it with a little more authority than that. And it got a little, we carried it on. But they wanted a rematch. So they came back the next day. I said, oh no rematches on boy. Y'all went down and cooked up something, you want to draw me in and said, no, you should have got down yesterday. That's all over. That's the way Oakland is. Oakland shot their shots and it wasn't having an effect, and they kept escalating and escalating and escalating. Okay. Now, we're here talking about, don't worry, we're engineering this. Okay. So, The reason we stayed away up until we will be finally heading on out, because everything is everything. We touch all the bases. Anything we didn't touch, we trusted Allah got it fully covered, because we wouldn't have got this far without a supreme being that sees all and everything, you know. So they lost real bad and they wanted a rematch. So we stayed away a long time to just let them know you ain't getting no rematch. And when we come back, we coming back on our page. You know, in other words, you did this, that, and other. You can't come back with something a little higher, a little stupider than that. You know. See, we left them stretched out so far. Anything they come around with is just, is worse than the ridiculous trap. But it don't make no difference to us anyway. Why? The thing we always talk about is focus. That we are already focused on what we're going to do. So it don't make no difference what they do. We're prepared for it, and God knows we can stand anything that they can put out. We don't particularly want to get shot at nothing, but that's what I tell them. The only way you can slow this down, Mr. Euro, is a bullet right in the head. Anything other than that, you know, we're going to keep our foot in your behind. Like it is, of course, if you just turn around and look, you'll see footprints on your behind. Those are mine. You know, anyway, this is just psychological guerrilla warfare. The other thing they want to do is they want to take it back to the late 20th century, to their comfort zone. See, if we've been evolving through things that they're familiar with, you know what I mean? That they're comfortable with. They do this to you and you respond. And they send you a fine and you have to pay it. It makes you sad. All that little dumb stuff. Okay? We're way beyond all of that. You know, that's why I was looking through the bill. I said, I'm just going to pay that before I go out there for the heck of it. You know? It's just, this is a cost of doing business. So this is a cost of doing business. It's not, you know, and you'll see how later that it doesn't really matter. Islam in Oakland is an arranged movement, just like it is everywhere. Is that hot enough for anybody? Yeah, if you could just turn it off, that'll be fine. Or push the little dial way down. The one on the right side, yeah, just push it all the way down. That'll be fine. I hope it's warm enough. Yeah. That'll stay in a minute and we'll try to get on out of here. I know it don't usually work, but anyway. So Islam in Oakland is a arranged movement. Nationally, the percentage of is arranged. Arranged means like listeners arrange things. Care, letter, it's arranged. Everything is arranged. Okay, so everywhere I go, I see an arranged environment. In Africa, in Europe, the Islamic movement is controlled. Now, some of it is controlled by percentages. Like what I mean is, like Islam may be 75% controlled by the white man. Care may be the same, 75, 80, maybe 90% of what they tell us. Okay, ICNA may be 65% controlled by the system. Control or manage means the people inside that are functionaries of the government. It don't mean that the leadership is, or what have you, is the police. But each group, some the leadership is the police, but they have so many functionaries inside of each organization that they can manipulate the direction that they go in. Okay, so the people were saying stuff about DC, about Oakland, and I won't spend much time on the Negroes there in Oakland, but I do want to mention one thing. You look what we have done with no help, with no support from anyone. We're not in the mainstream, right? We're not in the mainstream. In fact, we don't get invited anymore. Once they found out that we were going to stay independent, and it just stopped, everybody stopped. After we at the top of the line and all the demonstrations, everybody's friendly for a period of time. But when when they find out that they can't manipulate us, I remember we had a meeting here with Answer about Iraq. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So I told them, if y'all want to talk to some of the real people about Iraq, I can put you in contact with them. But they felt like we are the know-it-alls about Iraq. We went there with depleted uranium, and we did all the videos and everything on depleted uranium. We know what's going on. I said, fine. No problem with me. I mean, I just happen to know, all the brothers, Supreme, Islamic Council, all of those people, and I had told her this, and I had told her that, and who had told Islam this. But they didn't want it, so we're going about our business. So, everywhere you go, you see an arranged movement. But now, you look at D.C., we're cut off from the mainstream, sabotaged, monitored, and infiltrated. But Mukhtar had snatched one of something I put on the board out there, and this is right here. It says, Brother Musa misuse, well, he doesn't spell very good, misuses of Masjid funds. He really don't spell good, but I can show you this other stuff. Now, this is a check right here from the Bank of America, $24,971.68. This is a check that I took the money out of the bank, and I told you the skullduggery with my family on my house. So I paid this $24,000 out of my regular Masjid al-Islam account. Why you would know that is really something strange. But it ain't nothing hidden about it. He puts this up that Imam Musa misuse of Masjid funds. Now, the other thing he didn't look at is that house is a Section 8 house, and I have it around here. If I don't, I'll bring them later. There are 3 years of the payments, like every time they send a check each month, I put it in Masjid al-Islam. So out of those years, let's say I got $50,000. All that money went in Masjid al-Islam account. See, because that's something that y'all know it, you can see it. Everybody's been doing it. When we bought the Masjid al-Islam in Oakland, most of that money comes from, it's kind of clear, that ain't nobody else. People did donate. We traveled around the country. We raised money. But we had to raise $50,000 to buy the masjid and then another $30,000 to remodel it. Okay? We did all of that. So all they got to do is figure out, well, where did the money come from? Right, okay. So to be brief, ever since I've been doing this, I have never separated my money from the masjid money, you know. Because when I come in putting it, that's how the stuff got started. Same thing coming here. We came here, we didn't raise about $5,000 or $6,000, you know, here, from around here. Well, we bought that place around there, $30,000 or something. Yeah, but we put $10,000 in that heating and air conditioning and all of that, you know, and all that big thick carpet and all that stuff. We had to, all that's money. That didn't come from no money we raised, you know. All the property we bought up there on A Street comes from, is what everybody can see, books, oils, all of that, the stuff that we sold. So we have never separated. Hustling. If I went down to AMC or somewhere, I'd look in the closet, they'd have a stack of Qurans, and I'd say, hey man, there are a few boxes of them boys. I do it everywhere, at least I used to. Everywhere I went, I'd go by, like recently, I'd go by Care. Oh man, y'all got some of these beautiful Quran, Muhammad Assad, 3-volume set. Why don't y'all give me a few of those? Yes, you could go out to the warehouse out there and somewhere in Virginia. I'd be happy to go out there and just take a few. I said, sure, I'll just take a few. Don't you worry about it. A few. I know what a few means, a few. And the car be, the van be sitting all, that can't hardly move. But anyway, that's how, you know, and wholesale oil. You know. See, people forget the amount of books that were stacked up around there on A Street. If they counted, the books came out about 4 levels. So if you see books stacked up from the ground up to the top, each one of them is $20. And then it comes out 4 that's stacked all the way up to the top. It goes all the way down there. You're looking at $100,000 in books easy. And you know, the programs we went to, we sold plenty of books, you know, oils. But all that money, I never bought no Cadillac or nothing, but that money, the point I'm making is that this clown was accusing people of misuse of Masjid funds. Not that this is a DC account that he don't have nothing to do with, and no other accounts, because he ain't never put no money in nothing anyway. And not to mention that I put him on an account out there and put 35 grand in there, and he never put nothing in there but take it out. So he don't have no reason to open his mouth except as a provocation to make you mad, right? The point is, look what we did with a small amount of resources. We don't have no access to the Masjid, to fundraisers with them. We haven't been able to have no fundraiser in nobody's joint for decades, right? Just happened, okay. But look where we are, and then now look at Oakland. Oakland was piped into the whole statewide apparatus. They was welcome on every platform, right? Now, the books and the oils and everything that I got, I paid for that. And if I ordered a shipment of books from Pakistan or got some from Iran, wherever I got them from, I would either order them books, which I would pay for. They would get the books free, and you don't never see no money. I took them $40,000 in oil, and I don't, where's the money? What do they do with it? Talk about misuse of funds. What do they do? You know what I mean? Everything I'm telling you now, if we pay for everything and getting over, because we work. If they don't pay for nothing, imagine you get books free. You get oil free. You get everything free. All the CD duplicators, I brought them out to them. I bought them here at the music shop over there on Veersmeer's Road, right? Veersmeer, right here, right here. What's the big street go right up there? We know it. But anyway, and we would take them out. We took as many as 5 or 6. No, that was in the beginning. In the last few years, I took 5 brand new ones out there, and Musa would take them and go and take them where you want. DVD duplicators, they do anything. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Lawnmowers, I bought 5 lawnmowers. What else? Vacuum cleaners, I bought 8 or 9 vacuum cleaners. Because everything I'd go buy and leave it there, he'd come in, the gas would be cut off, the water would be cut off, everything when I come back. He would actually probably call them and tell them, in one building, 8109, we had all the facilities turned. It was for the Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Big sign outside. Got beautiful tile on the floor. Stone tile like this in the bookstore, not that tile like that's downstairs. Thick tile, you know, nice Italian tile, nice. Other part, thick carpet and everything. I leave 1 month and Musa turns the water on and leave it running for a whole month. When I get back, it's $3,000 water, $3,500 water bill. And you know, talk about the misuse and holes in the roof. Every time I go up there and leave, I usually wait till it rains to see, not a drop. But when I get back, that boy is leaking like a seal. You go up there, you even find I think I showed y'all once one of the bottles that was stuck into the drain. The other place, they cut a little piece of tile, you know, a little piece of tile, and put it right on top of the drain, and pretty soon it plugs up and the water, a little bit of dust, collect that. Pretty soon it seals it. You know where a drain is if you put a little piece of tile. When I say tile, I mean the stuff we put on the roof. You just put it over the drain, just like a stopper over a bathtub. As that water and stuff collects, pretty soon the debris goes around it and it forms a seal. Pretty soon, it's a seal. It ain't no water going down that drain. And that water's gonna back up, and it's gonna find a hole, and whatever it is, it's gonna come down, it's gonna get bigger and bigger, and it's gonna destroy everything in its path. I didn't mean to get on that. I'm gonna get back to what we was talking about. So Islam in Oakland is an arranged movement. Nationally, it's an arranged movement. When we say, look at what we did in D.C., but cut off from the mainstream, sabotaged, monitored, and infiltrated. Now, look what they've done with the resources out there. They haven't did nothing. And every time they we would buy some property, they could invite anybody and and then we raise, say we got $69,000 and $70,000 and the building costs $125,000, whatever it needs, it's another $51,000. We bring that from there and put it in Oakland. One thing you will never find, and I don't think anybody remember of Oakland ever bringing one dime or one basket of fruit or nothing here. Just think back over the years. And every time I leave here, if we done got some more stuff, you could see the station wagon full of stuff. I'm taking it out to Oakland. Okay, But Mukhtar is saying misuse of funds. In fact, at this time, this is the account where we had helped our brother, and we was building it back up. But if you remember, order of battle, 10% rule. Remember, we moved toward $1 billion. When we got this account to $100,000, I gave the lecture on the 10% rule. If y'all remember, if we just say, well, like years ago, we said, well, we want to raise $200,000. Of course, we raised way more than that, you know, because we bought this, took $300,000 or more to remodel it, bought other property, you know, okay. So the order of battle is like this. The 10% rule, this is just something I have. That if we sit down and we have a vision, man, we want to raise $1 million. Okay, that's a beautiful dream. But if you ain't rubbing two nickels together, that's a long way off. But once you get 10% of it, to me, it's a done deal. Why? Because you're on the road, and all you got to do is keep on the road. So when we got $100,000 in that account, I gave lectures. In fact, I gave lectures to Kutbas, which are on tape, about money management. Every time, if we was going to give something to somebody, I said, well, we gave our brother such and such. And then when we go out and hustle money, I give a general report. About money out, so that everybody have a feeling about where we're at. So the way he's putting it out there, I got a slush fund, and I just spend money. Not that he don't never put nothing in there. It would make no difference to him what I do with the money. If I was living down the Virgin Islands with a chateau on the side of the hill, it's okay. As far as he's concerned, he never put nothing in nothing. Okay, so 10% rule, this is a cookbook. Oh yeah, this is June 2012. That's a year before all this foolishness starts out there. Exactly a year. But anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. I'm going to try to. So, what we did was with minimums. And what they did with maximums is nothing. We did everything, all the property we had here, we did it with no help from nobody, being cut off, you know what I mean? Mainly hustling. So, if I had to make a general overview about purchases or acquisition of wealth, personally, I think that I know here in D.C. and Oakland is about the same. 80% of the income came from me personally. Except, talk about the slush fund, that school out there and abdul-alim income. Remember, I say, hey, what's the books look like? Oh, I'll have next week. Then when I got to look at them, I said, good God Almighty, there's $100,000 on one page. It's on a stack this high. The people were donating $10,000 and $15,000 a while. The immigrants. Remember, he was mainly the immigrant crew. Now, what are we going to do about all this? I'll just get to the point. We're going to issue a national call. If y'all would remember, a few years ago we had, as far as re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America and all that stuff. Okay. What is a national call? Not only a national call, but a national mobilization. For what? The Islamic liberation of Oakland. Yes. What does that mean? It's very simple. When you hear it, you see we got all the skills, it's easy to do, but we're going to issue a national call at a particular time. And it may not be that long, because I may postpone that year sabbatical. I don't think I could travel around that long unless it's to raise money. And I'll probably do that. But I got a feeling the national As-Sabiqun National Islamic Liberation Movement. That's what we are. It starts with Oakland and D.C. Consider these base areas in the national liberation struggle the same type we've been talking about and studying about and have been involved in all over the world. So what do you mean a national liberation? National mobilization. Yeah, there's a difference between mobilize to put people together. Mobilization, organization should follow mobilization. That's what we're going to do. For what cause? National mobilization for Oakland, California. First. So we're going to prepare the facilities in Oakland to receive, let's say, 100 people. It'll be skillfully done. We're going to stay in the Masjid and we're going to stay over there. We got plenty of room out there. I mean, nice and comfy. What are we going to do? We're going to liberate, first of all, the Bay Area. Of course, first of all, Oakland. From the hands of cowardly Uncle Tom Islamic forces. How are we going to do it? Very simple. We're preparing the literature, we're preparing the CDs, DVDs, handouts. So all the logistics and stuff that we do all the time. Let's say, for instance, we have 100 people here. We have 50 people here. We have 25. We have 10. Technically, whichever one we get is fine. If it's 200, we just open up the other side. We'll do that. Logistics, we steeped in it. We always do it. We've been doing demonstrations for decades. Logistics of feeding people, taking care of people. You see how smooth and easy Ramadan goes. So, if we, when the people come, whatever the number, we'll prepare 2 meals per day, big nice breakfast, and a dinner every day. Orientation, maybe the first few days it'll be orientation. But during the day, after that, we'll be going to every masjid, every center, over and over again, with our flyers and our leaflets. And we will be educating the people on what happened to us in relation to the rest of the movement. The Islamic Liberation Movement means that we're going after the whole show. Because we have to liberate the Islamic movement in North America. It is controlled, right? It is manipulated, right? Okay. Therefore, we have to liberate the movement from the Zionist American cabal. That's what we're going to do. through teaching, through education, this is not going to be with malice. This is a liberation movement. Now, there's a good thing about this liberation movement. We have chose the reason we can't lose. We didn't chose the time, the place, and the subject, and brought the government in to give us all the stuff they was doing. Remember a few years, 4 or 5 years back, we was trying to figure out what handle we're going to use on a national and international fundraising for the billions of dollars we need. We didn't have one, so we had to manufacture one. Now, anybody, they can say this is accidental if they want, but anybody who was here will know this stuff was not accidental. If it wasn't accidental, then how did it happen? Let's be truthful about it. We engineered it. That's what you have to do at the battlefield. Do them buttholes think that we're studying all this military strategy and tactics and learning how to survive with white folks attacking you with everything that kill everybody else and it don't scratch us? If they want to think that we're just a bunch of niggas, that's up to them. They're the ones that got trapped. It ain't nobody in history ever, remember we was talking about drawing them in deep. It ain't nobody ever drew the white man in deep. Why? Because he thinks 4 or 5 steps ahead of the right. Oh, when we were open a Masjid in Oakland, they already had Negroes out there ready to snitch and turn it. When we got there, the only thing was that we already knew that though. Because see, this was not our first go-round. We had survived 2 big battles. So it prepared us for this. So we have a history, the Bay Area Liberation Campaign, with all the slogans, like a regular campaign, like D-Day was called Operation Overlord. They called the other thing recently Desert Storm, and all of that stuff. So we are actually, choosing the language. We already using our own language, if you remember what we talked about. We're already using our language. When you use your language, you change the picture of everything by what you call it. Do we have sufficient skills? We have skills for all of this. They're all redundant to us. And we're copying Hezbollah 2006. What did they do? They're fighting the Israelis, 4th generation weapons. They combined what they had, 2nd and 3rd generation weapons, and defeated their 4th generation weapons by using them in a new configuration, a new combination. That's what we're doing. We're using the whole historical movement process in a new configuration. And when we say we have engineered this, we've engineered this so we're fighting on our territory, in Oakland first, DC second. So we're fighting in our own backyard. We chose the time. That's why we don't have to go to Oakland until we get ready. We've been here almost a year now. Haven't lost no sleep or nothing else. Technically, we don't care what they do. We're prepared for every eventuality. If we call for 100 people and 89 of them are police, we're prepared for that. It's no problem. Who cares? If we all get started and they all pack up and leave 5 or 10 people there, it's okay. We'll go with that. Suppose everybody leaves like they usually do. So what? We'll issue a new call and we'll use that as a teaching method. We're ready for anything. Because see, we're not on their schedule. We're on God's schedule. Okay. That's why we can't lose. Okay. So we have the sufficient skill. So this is not only psychological guerrilla warfare, it's psychological asymmetric warfare. Basically, it's the As-Sabiqun liberation movement. First thing we have to do is liberate. When we was talking about East Oakland, Azad, that means liberated East Oakland. We have to liberate Oakland. First of all, we have to have them attack Oakland for it to be liberated. Or open attack. And they did everything. So what are we liberating? We're liberating in front of everybody the last independent Masjid or system, we call it system, Masjid in America. Those Negroes that we saw in Atlantic City aren't part of the movement, are they?
No.
They ain't thinking about it. If they were here listening to this, they would think we was talking about something on Mars or something. They wouldn't know what it, they wouldn't know the history, they definitely wouldn't understand the language. Right? They just wouldn't understand. So, As-Sabiqun liberation movement. What is it going to liberate? We first have to liberate the minds of our people from second-class citizenship. The Negro is a volunteer second-class citizenship. We have to liberate the member from handkerchief-headed Negroes and built-up white boys. Right? They are American speakers. We have to liberate our people from impossibility thinking that it's not possible. We can't do anything. Some of the brothers left here, like you were saying about the immigrant schools, they always call our children niggas because our children don't act like they want. You can't get none of our kids unless he's maybe just a little slow-minded or something to sit there and swallow all that stuff. He's gonna throw stuff in class, do all of this, right? That's the way our Negroes do. And the first thing they call them is a nigga. And you hear our little kids saying, our hair is not black. Well, they got that. We was in Canada 2 weeks and the kids was talking from here. Was talking about something. You got good hair. They got bad hair. Your hair is the best hair in the world. How many people got hair like yours? And I told the kids, I said, suppose the police hit you on top of your head with all that hair packed together, you protected. That's like it won't hurt you at all.
A helmet.
Huh?
Like a helmet.
Is it almost a helmet? It is.
You know, at IEC, a long time ago, that's what happened. When they grabbed one of the brothers'
ear.
Almost ripped it off.
Yeah.
He was ready to really get busy. But that's how they, and that's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's how they seeing people. They're not seeing, you know, they don't see them as little human kids. They little.
We're not talking about, let's not call them enemies, but we're talking about our friends too. Our friends are in this with we telling our friends the same thing. You know, that we don't like the way things is going. So this is an Islamic liberation movement. That's what we are. Remember, it evolved to that. You have to answer the call of your time, and you have to rise to the occasion of your time. And if you have to study the battlefield of your era, the time you're living in, what does it look like, right? So the main thing that we're battling now is inferiority complexes, second-class Islamic hood, right? Turning over our lives to people. See now, one of the reasons we got to liberate the movement from ISNA and all that, because they control it. Now, if they would have gotten control of the movement in America and was doing something, that would be different. They were really mobilized for a good Islamic cause, and we're going to help everybody along the way, you know what I mean? If you need to improve the Negro movement, just let us know. They did none of that. So we have to mobilize, let's bring the organize and stabilize our base areas. The base areas for now is DC and Oakland. So let's call it National War of Liberation. So after a while, you'll be seeing what Allah has been hooking you up for all the time. It's just a different national war of liberation. It's not a physical war of liberation. It's a psychological, it's emotional, it's positional. So our mission is to liberate the Islamic movement from foreign control and domination, inferiority complexes, sold out leadership, liberate the agenda from defeatist and defeatism ideas, liberate the attitude and the self-image. They've trained the Arabs are like that, or the immigrants are like that, and they've trained the Negro, who didn't be cowardly. But now he's got the old Bani Israel mentality. There's your freedom, there's the promised land. Ain't going on that. Y'all go over there, and I'm gonna stay here while you go over there and fight. And there's strong people in there. Well, those strong people aren't there anymore. People who are running the world are very weak, but they mean. The people that run these Islamic organizations, they're very mean. If they don't have, if they had, see, we discussed before, if you have a little bit of Islam in certain things you won't do.
You can't do.
You can't do. You would think nobody feel inferior and yourself superior, like you know something, you don't know nothing. You wouldn't do that. So this job is a pleasure. So, as I said, like Hezbollah, we're combining what we have here in the U.S. in a new configuration. So we'll defeat all of their superior tactics, their stronger positions, and do we have any training in it? Yes. We've been whooping them blindfolded all along. They're just out, they're not outgunned, they're outthought, they're outmanaged. It ain't even hard. We look forward to this. So we're already preparing our slogans, our literature, our campaign attitude, you know what I mean? And conferences. You know, they tried to keep me away from the ISNA conferences last September there. Who wanted to go to that anyway? This is all in the works. So I said, okay, y'all want to draw me up to take my my child at school, I don't care. I'll go have a good time. It'll make no difference. We're going to get them anyway. National conferences, yes, we're going to deal with it. We were just over there scouting out what it looked like. That was way last summer. Over there, just having a good time. We already, this trip to the region, we're going to do a good reconnaissance of the Bay region. Because we started with Oakland, but we have to also liberate that whole region. There's 9 counties, Bay Area counties, but we're including Sacramento, so we're going to deal with Oakland as a center. We're concentrating on liberating Oakland. We're concentrating on who is Hamza Youssef, how did he get here, how does he operate, who is Zaid Shaka, what is he doing here, right? Who are the people that moved from our community to these communities? What did they do while they was there? You know what I mean? See, all the people, they have this behavior thing. Anything you do to As-Sabiqun or Masjid al-Islam is okay. And if they say don't like it, start a big ruckus. And like, all the stuff they do, they say, oh, Imam Musa has slandered them, the believers, has slandered them Negroes. That's what Musa was saying. Imam Musa slandered the believers. I don't know how much money they stole, to tell you the truth, because that was part of the plan. If at any time you would have interrupted what they was doing, you throw the plan out. They have to feel like, this is how we catch the mice down there. We put out a trap sometime, they just eat all around it and start laughing at you. It's okay, put it out again. Pretty soon, there they are. You know what I mean? There they are. The same thing with the Negroes. You gotta let them get away with stuff. We would have never done this. And before I close, I'd just like to say, this is strategic brilliance. It just don't sound like it. Strategic brilliance. It's incorporated all the historical movements, armies, and everything, but hooking it up to what we're doing now and where we are. So, we chose the battlefield. Okay. We chose the time around now. We chose the subject. And we had them fully express their whole self, unashamedly.
How do you really feel?
And how they all acted it out. We don't have to prove nothing, we're just explaining to people what it is. And I'll close with this. At the core of everything that we'll put up, and it'll show you what the core of everything stands for. You're going to see me standing at the door of the Masjid saying to everybody, you can't come in. And you'll see Mukhtar leading all the Arabs, and Khadijah is there too. And I would have to either shoot them or something. But I'm clearly saying, I don't want y'all in here, and they're coming. That's a wonderful picture. But I could see it while it was happening. I said, boy, this is beautiful. The last independent African-American center in America being flooded by white shoe-wearing Arabs. You know, when the people see them, they know they're not religious. I call them white shoe Arabs, you know. And wonderful. So we chose the time, we chose the place, and we chose the subject. And everything else. We'll go into this in deeper about our detailed outcomes. What do we want? of course, what we want. We want to, as we always said, to put our people back in charge of their own lives and not let people steal our destiny from us. See, that's our job in the Islamic movement worldwide. The United States of America is ours. It's our watch. We're responsible for it. Not Iranians, they're not going to do it. Not immigrants, they're not going to do it. Not even Negroes that don't think a certain way. That's why the white man is nervous as heck. Because we believe everything we're saying, we believe it. He know we believe it. So he's already halfway defeated. Because he knows that we believe what we're saying to be true. So he believes in thinking and all of that. Hey, if you can believe it and conceive it, you can achieve it. Isn't that right? That's what they say. They've been saying that for 50, 60, 100 years. And in a way it's true, but we're putting Islam on everything. The believers, you stick around, you'll be around for the, you'd already seen the best ride. There ain't nobody, you study the movements, and see, ain't nobody that can talk to the police and challenge the system, the FBI like we do. Nobody can. And that's not a brag, that's just saying that Allah wanted us to move to a certain level. Everything they did elevated us. So-called taking our money is supposed to make you mad. You know, I tell my kids, I said, you got your money back? I said, no, I'll get it back. I said, but I'm assuming for about $10 million. I said, but they did you a favor. I said, you notice how whenever you want something, I buy it easy now. Why? Because it's just money. Because I believe, because of history, that Allah always hooked us up. So what I'm going to start disbelieving now? Right? Yeah. So if there's any questions or comments, أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Yes.